Hello everyone. Today I'm going to take you through a full body beginner joint mobility session. We're going to start with the neck. First thing I want you to do is look down, and I'm going to turn to the side here so you can see what I'm doing a little easier. Look down and then tuck the chin in towards the chest, then jut it forward as you look up towards the ceiling. Back down, then pull the chin in. Give yourself that double chin. Push your chin out and then trace it back up. So we're tracing kind of a semi-circle or an arc with the chin rather than moving just straight up and down. So bring the chin down, tuck it in, push it forward, and look up. Going back and forth, loosening up the neck. This is really good if you've got a stiff neck and you're looking for a little bit of relief wherever you're at. Next, we're going to go side to side. So start by tilting your ear to one shoulder and then the other. The other thing that's important here is as you drop the ear to the shoulder, you're going to lift from the top side, trying to bring the top side jaw towards the ceiling. So it's two equal and opposite motions. Tilting the ear to the shoulder and lifting the top side corner of your jaw up towards the ceiling at the same time. It's important to do these movements fairly controlled, and you never want to go past the point of your tightness. Now we're going to go left and right. So look as far as you can to the left and to the right without straining any muscles in your neck. If you feel yourself coming into a point of pain, back off that point a little bit, go a little bit shallower. These exercises shouldn't be painful. They may be slightly uncomfortable if you're actively challenging your range of motion, but they should never be painful. Now we're going to go side to side with the neck, getting this lateral translation, getting your shoulders fixed in place, and then move your head laterally to the side as far as you can, and then back and forth. It's going to be a small range of motion. Next, we're going to move down to the scapula or the shoulder blade. Start by shrugging the shoulders up, then back, down, forward. So we're making a circle with the shoulders. But we're not actually moving the shoulder joint itself, we're moving the shoulder blade on the rib cage. So we're going to try to make these big circles here, loosening up the back, loosening up the muscles on top of your neck, and all the muscles associated with those shoulder blades. Now we're going to switch directions. Going forward, same idea, tracing in the same direction. Good. Now we're going to go on to the thorax, the upper part of our spine, by first moving our chest up and forward and then out and back, reaching the arms forward as you push the chest back. One thing that helps is if you interlace your fingers, pointing the index finger and the thumb this way. This will help engage the right movement. So we're going to reach our arms forward, pointing forward, reaching, tuck your tailbone underneath, and then reverse that. Pull the shoulder blades back, pinching them together, bringing the chest forward and up, and then out again. Try to exhale as you reach forward, rounding the tailbone underneath, coming up, pulling the chest forward and up, breathing deep into the chest. Down, exhale, back and up, inhale. So a little bit quicker now, moving back and forth. So we're loosening up the upper part of our spine, the rib cage and thoracic region tends to get stiff. We don't move it that much, but it's important for proper breathing and just to maintain a pain-free upper back. I'm going to give you guys a different angle here. And now we're going to move on to the lateral line for our thoracic mobility. Also getting into the lower back here a little bit. So stand feet shoulder width apart, arms out to the side, and you're going to move laterally without tilting. So we're not flexing to the side, we're just shifting. So make sure your arms stay parallel to the ground. Those are kind of your guide. Again, this is probably not going to be a huge range of motion, especially if you've just started. If you feel this twinging in your low back, reduce your range of motion. It will get better over time. You'll be able to move farther without pain, but at first, be careful. Now we're going to go into circles with the upper back. This is like trying to do a very slow hula hoop, but everything just between the shoulders and your hips. So you're not moving the hips around, you're moving your spine around, basically, like you're twisting a pipe cleaner. So we're combining those motions. So lean to your left, forward with the chest up, to the right, back, tuck the tailbone, and then left again. Moving the upper back in a circle. I like to hold my hands in front of me to give me kind of a reference for where I'm supposed to be in space. The hands will stay stationary and everything else moves. Now we're going to switch directions. So we're doing the opposite motion. Bring the chest forward, then to the left, back, right, and up. Moving in that circle, trying to keep your shoulders in the same point in space. The hips stay in place. Everything between your shoulders and your hips, moving in a circle. And take your time with this. Go in a small circle at first until you get used to it. Now we're going to move the shoulders themselves. So we're going to move out away from the center of our body now. So keep the elbows straight. Make big circles up and around as big as you can. We're trying to get that full overhead extension, that full flexion range on the shoulder. So try to keep the elbows as straight as you can. Now we're going to go backwards. This is a little bit more challenging just due to the nature of the shoulder, the way it's built. But it also tends to be tight, especially if you never have to reach up overhead. So take your time with it. Now we're going to do one arm at a time, and I want you to reach across your body and make a circle to the inside first. So I'm turning to the side here so you can see this. So the idea of this is you're trying to make a circle with the shoulder by reaching across the body as much as you can. This might feel very tight in the outer pec, right near the shoulder joint as you're doing this. Might get a little cramping there, so be careful. Now we're going to reverse that direction. Then we'll move on to the other side. And you can do a few more repetitions of these as you feel you need to. Trying to keep that elbow straight, reaching across the body as much as you can. Trying to bring the arm as close to the chest as possible. Good. Relax out of that. Now we're going to do the opposite motion. We're going to try to make circles with the shoulder, but by reaching back, trying to get as much reach behind us as we can, and then switching directions, still focusing on reaching back as much as possible without rotating the upper body, so all that movement goes into the shoulder. Switch sides, start rotating up and back, reaching behind you as much as you can. Keep reaching back. Switch directions, going in the opposite direction now. Still reaching back, trying to expand that circle behind you, making it as big as possible, and relax. Now we're going to move to the elbows, moving down the arm now. Turn your thumbs out as you try to extend the arm under that tension. Circle back towards your face, and then turn them out again. So this should feel tight in your bicep and your tricep if you're trying to rotate your hands out as much as possible as you extend the arm. And the point of this is to open up the joint capsule of the elbow. Your elbow, the true elbow joint, is a hinge joint. It can only flex and extend, but there's also the point where the radius and the ulna connect and articulate with the humerus that allows some rotation. So we're trying to get all of those motions together in one exercise. Now we're going in the opposite direction, turning the thumbs down and back as we extend the arms out. Now we're going to do the wrists. Start by bringing the wrist up, out, down, and in. Up, out, down, and in. Imagine you're holding onto a bar, an invisible bar. We're holding onto the throttle of a motorcycle, and you're revving it. So the hand stays in place, but the wrist moves up and down around the hand. Now we're making circles as big as we can. Now switch directions. Down, push the wrists out away from each other, bring the wrists up, wrist back in, wrist down, and out again. Now we're going to smooth that out, try to make that one continuous smooth circle. If this is causing you any pain in your wrist, any popping or twanging sensations like a tendon is popping over something, make smaller circles and kind of shave that tension off, peeling it back one layer at a time. It will get better. Now we're going to go to our hands. Start by spreading the fingers, making circles with the thumbs. Only have to do a few. Then we're going to move on to the index finger. Try to move only your index finger. Now just the middle finger. That one's a little harder. Now try to move just the ring finger, pinky finger. Then switch directions with the pinky. Every time you do this, you're trying to only move that one finger. Ring finger, middle finger, index finger, and thumb in the opposite direction. Those hand exercises you can do anytime, really help if you spend a lot of time typing or doing anything with your hands. Now we're going to move down to the low back, start shifting your hips off to one side, then push them all the way back, keeping your back straight to the other side, and then push the hips forward, lean back, feel that stretch in the front of the hip flexors. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see a little better. Now again to the side, back, to the left, and to the front. Right, back, left, and to the front. So here we're loosening up the hip capsule a little bit. We're getting some flexion, extension, adduction, abduction, all those good motions of the hip, but we're also getting a little bit into the lumbar spine. Now we're going to switch directions. So this forward position is working on opening up the hip flexor. In the back, we're giving a little bit of mobility work to the hamstrings, and we're going in and out. We're working on the inside and outside of the hip, respectively, depending on what side we're on. So make those circles nice and big, smooth, and full as you can. Violet wants to play fetch, but we're not going to do that right now. She always brings that ball. Now we're going to lean forward, relaxing the neck, turn and lean to the side, and then lean back. Now, really be careful with this exercise. If you have any history of neck injury or low back injury, be very, very careful. What's important here is that the head stay relaxed, but in order to be able to do that, you need to keep the lower body tight. So keep your thighs and your glutes tight so that your head can relax and you don't injure your neck. If you're unsure about this one, or if you have any type of history with an injury to these areas, I would just skip this one. It is perfectly safe as long as your spine is healthy. Going in the opposite direction and relax. Now we're going to move on to the hip with a different exercise, isolating the hip, trying to keep your knee locked straight. You're going to rotate the hip in a circle. Try to pick your leg up and make a circle to the inside. Trying to get the foot as high as possible while still maintaining your balance. Use your hands for balance, and you can hold on to something here if you needed to, a chair, a wall, whatever you needed. But it's also good if you can do it without holding on to anything so that you can work on balance at the same time that you're working on your hip mobility. Now we're going to move on to the knee. This one's a little tricky. Pick the knee up and then turn the foot out as you kick away. A little tricky to do at first, but think about rotating the toes out as you kick the heel forward, then rotate the toes back in, bend the knee, and recover. So toes in, pull the heel back, and reset. Toes out, heel forward, then drive the foot forward, and then pull it back. Toes out, heel forward, rotate the foot in, pull it back. So So when you get to that fully extended position here, there should be some tension in the outside of the hip. You should feel the quad be tight and engaged. Hamstring might feel like it's being stretched slightly. So we're loosening up the muscles around the knee in a good way so that our knee can move and function like it's supposed to. Now we're going to switch sides. Pick the knee up first, turn the toes to the outside, kick the heel away as you're trying to rotate out, toes in, heel back, and reset. Toes out, toes in, pull it back, and reset. Just going to turn to the side, give you a little bit different angle on what I'm doing. Toes in, pull the heel back, toes out, toes in, pull the heel back. Exhale as you drive the heel out. Now we're going to go to our last joint, the ankle. So start by pulling the toes or pointing the toes away from you. Pull them to the inside, back towards your shin, and then out. That's going to be the smallest movement of the 4 directions. So we're making our circles with the ankle. Try to make this motion as big as you possibly can so that you really challenge that range of motion, especially if your ankle is very stiff. This can be a good way to loosen it up and help you relieve some of that tension in your calves. Again, here, if you need to, you can hold on to something for balance. There's no problem with that. It just gives you a nice ancillary benefit. If you want to work on your balance, you can just hold your foot out there the whole time you're doing it. Now we're going to switch to the other side. Start by balancing on that support leg. Point the toes away to the outside, pull them back to your shin, and to the inside again. Away, out, back, in, and away. And then start to make that one continuous motion, circling the foot around as big as you can, and then switch direction. Back, out, away, in, back, out, away, in. And then make that a circle. Work through that full range, expanding it a little bit on each circle, and you're done. Thanks everybody for following me through this workout. I hope you enjoyed it.